every Friday. It's absolutely free. So you can come along, you can get a certificate from American TESOL, and you can bring a friend. There are free recordings, so you can visit the American TESOL site. You'll find all of this information on the bit.ly address. Now, it is case sensitive. I'll put it in the chat box in a little bit, but you can find all the resources. We've done hundreds of them, so literally you can find resources for anything you teach. We do this every Friday, so you'll be able to see us. This week I'm coming to you from Texas, but in a couple of weeks I'll come to you from Sweden. So I travel quite a bit. You may have even seen Rakesh in one of my sessions because he's been known to pop up in a few of my sessions since I've been to London a few times as well. So we'll bring Roscoe up a little bit later. Let me give you the bit.ly address and we'll begin. Now, a lot of people don't teach Halloween, but Halloween I think is actually really fantastic for language learners. You can use a lot of the activities today to teach throughout the year, so you don't have to. If you don't teach necessarily Halloween, that's okay. But you have many lessons you'll leave with today that you can do throughout the year that are a lot of fun for kids. And one of the reasons why I love are for language learners in general. So we'll cover adults, we'll cover young learners, and we'll cover teenagers in this spectrum as well. But for language learners, Halloween is a great time to learn English because they can use their imagination while learning English, and you'll see some of the lessons for that. They can learn about other cultures and traditions. And what I mean by that is one of the things that I think is a really good idea is to get them on maybe a video like Skype or Google Hangout, and for them to talk to other countries and share their sessions. So for example, in Virginia Beach, you could get with the Ukraine, hi Margarita, or Spain, and you can talk about the different types of celebrations where you get to dress up in costume. So for example, in February, I was in Carnival in Brazil, so Brazilian students could get with American students, and they could talk about Halloween, and they can also talk about Carnival. They can talk about, in Venice they have the same thing, Dia de los Muertos in Mexico. I don't know in Spain if they celebrate that, but what kind of, in Germany we had in February we also dressed up as well. So when I lived in Germany, we dressed up for festivals there, Fasching, so that was very popular, and so we would get with the U.S. students. So you learn about a lot of cultures, and you can do just about different festivals within the countries and cultures where you get to dress up. So you can also participate in hands-on language learning. TPR, total physical response, is proven to be very effective for language learners. You can learn by playing games, singing songs. We'll see sites for all of that, making treats, listening to spooky stories. And then a lot of times, many countries, because Halloween is catching on in the UK, for example, and in other countries as well. So in Germany, we actually had some events related to Halloween as well. So it's really great because then you can spur them to use their English more if they have outside Halloween events within the actual country. And they get to dress up in costumes, just like my little buddy here who's in his little costume. You can't see it, but he's a race car driver. Hey buddy, you like your Halloween costume? Not too much. Okay, I'll let him go back there. So it's a really great time. The great thing about Halloween is that you can get very creative and you can really show the students, you can get them to write, and you can get them to read each other's stories, and you can actually get them to listen to stories and want to read during Halloween. And that's what I love. So you can use these kind of things. And maybe you don't celebrate Halloween in the class. Maybe it's a problem for the parents or something. That's okay. You can go ahead and they're spooky stories. They're haunted stories. So you can do this at any time of the year, these activities. So we'll go into the activities. First one is costumes with a twist. So I'm going to show you a few ideas for costumes in English language teaching or inside your classes in general. So if you're general English, a general teacher as well, K through 12, you can use some of these ideas as well. I'll be doing on Tuesday another Halloween webinar, and for that one we'll focus on science and math and teaching those concepts with Halloween, because they're great concepts to teach science, different kinds of sciences too. Costumes with a twist. You can have your students dress up on multiple occasions based on themes. Now for language learners, have them dress up as idioms. There's and then guess. So they get with another, what we used to do in America, and it's so popular, is there's a spirit week here. And every single day is a different day that they get to dress up as something. For example, they have like Neon Day or your favorite teen day. The same thing for Halloween. So if you have a language school, it's easy to get your students every day to have a theme for that school, a Halloween theme. And so, oh, that's great, Laura. So Laura even says they're celebrating Spirit Week right now. But for language learners, it's fantastic because each day could be something. It could be dress up as a verb, dress up as an idiom, dress up as a compound noun, so they can get with a partner. And for example, I've seen things like spaghetti and meatballs dress up as their favorite band. One was, I saw two people, they dressed up as John F. Kennedy and Jackie Onassis, but with zombie makeup. They were the music group, the Dead Kennedys. Or the Dead Presidents, I guess. I think they had another one as well, maybe Ronald Reagan or something, and they all dressed up as zombies. So it's really interesting. You can do that categories. They can do past tense. They can dress up as anything without the week, and it's a great way for them to study grammar and understand, to search idioms and things like that. They'll get excited so they can do their costume. They can dress up as a favorite book character. So if what you can say, the parameters are any of the books that we read throughout the year or will read throughout the year. It's a great way to get them involved in character development. Or maybe it could be a theme like children's books, or maybe it can be things like Twilight, and you say, yeah, that's the book we're reading in class, so that's what you have to dress up as. But it's a great way for them to really get involved with the character. If you can't, excuse me, have the kids dress up, if there's a problem with that, which sometimes there is, it wasn't a problem when I was teaching in Germany. They loved to dress up. They just did it all the time. We had a superhero day with my language learners. We had a day when they could dress up as comic book characters, all kinds of favorite animals. So it's a great way to learn English for them. But you can have little kids dress up their dolls or toys, and they can bring the doll or the toy to class. And each day it can have a different theme as well. Play guessing games. So once all the kids are there, or even they can, exactly. So Sharon brings up a really great point about dressing up. That it means they lose their inhibitions and they speak behind their mask. They actually tend to speak more. Even with their toys dressed up, they speak more in class. So these are things that I would do throughout the year, not only Halloween, but Halloween's a good excuse to do them. So playing guessing games. So once you come up with the theme, like idioms, for example, line them all, line each kid up, and then you say, or maybe put a list out. You can make a worksheet and put 1 through 20 or whatever, how many kids you have, their names, and then on the side, the other kids have to work in pairs and they have to guess what the other is dressed up as. So it's a great way when you have these themes that they dress up in, or what character, or what is the favorite comic book character, or what's the verb, or what's the noun being portrayed, or what's the compound noun. You can have them guess, and they love it. They love doing these guessing games because they're dressed up. And it's a great way for them to be their vocabulary and their grammar. You can also have them write stories or create dialogues to go with the costume characters. Now, they don't only have to do for their costume, but they can do for their costume. But maybe they're inspired by somebody else in the class's costume. So you say, okay, pick one of the characters that's there. You can also, and you can say, now you get to write a story. You know, what would be a dialogue that maybe this character over here who's a ghost has with this character over here, Molly, who's a witch. So you can pair the characters together and you can say, create a dialogue, student A and B, and then have them reenact that dialogue because they're showing up in the costumes. You don't know what costumes they're going to have, and they don't know what each other's costumes are going to be. So when you mix them up, you mingle them, you mix them up, and you grab them together and you say, okay, as pairs, now you write a conversation you really think that these would have. They have to not only write the conversation, but they do have to write like the setting. They have to write the occasion they would have this, where they would be at. Would they be at a restaurant? Would they be at a party? Would they be at a store? And then you can have them play impromptu games with their characters as well. So you can have it to where it's random conversations. You can do a whole mingle thing. Mingle is where you pair kids up, you blow a whistle, you're like, and you give them 30 seconds. And so they have 30 seconds to talk really quick. And then they have to find, when you blow the whistle, they have to go and scatter and find another partner to have a conversation with. So they can play impromptu games with their characters, like random conversations, where they just come up with a conversation they would have, and they have to be their character. So if they're ghosts, if they're witches, then they have to play that role. You can even do the conversation by saying, okay, what would a witch say? Maybe, or what would a witch sound like? Maybe she throws in lots of a wicked laugh, or maybe what a Dracula would say, or something like that. Have them do movie scenes, okay? So you can have it to where they're all around, and then you say, okay, it's a comedy, and then they pull out names, their names in a bag, and then they run up there and they have to do a scene in a comedy. Or you can do popular movies with this. Like, for example, you can say Finding Nemo. Let's say they came out in Finding Nemo. Or let's say they came out in a Star Wars or something. What movie scene would they play, and what would be the conversation? Or maybe they're in space and it's a space movie. So these are kind of games you can do, all revolving around costumes. So here's another idea. If you teach adults or teens, now you might say adults and teens, they don't really want to dress up. They actually, sometimes they may, if it's like a Halloween party, which is what I would suggest. But if you're not going to do a Halloween party or celebration, then one thing you can do is you can have adults or teens create or read Halloween books to kids. And so if you have, like, if you teach older adult students, this is something I've had with older Germans, and I said, well, we're going to write a children's book. You go ahead and you do, you can do, you can write the children's story, so that way they get their writing skills and things like that. They develop the characters, and this story is a story you will read to your children, and my adult students love that. Or you will read to a niece or a nephew or a grandchild, or some child that is in the family, or that you know, a friend's child. This will be a book dedicated to them. So I have them, and the what I do with the teenagers is, and the older students that don't want to dress up, what I'll do is I'll have them create books. They write the books, and then they read it to the younger learners English class. So it really helps them to kind of gear the language. They want to do it for a lower level, and they really enjoy it. They love being able to go to the class and, just like this gentleman here, read to the kids. And the kids can dress up, and they love it, because then the kids are all in their Halloween costumes, and they get to hear this slightly spooky story, or a story about Halloween time. But you can do that anytime. It doesn't even have to be Halloween. These are the books that I recommend. If you do read to young learners, these are the ones I read to my 4 to 10-year-old students in Germany when I was teaching English there. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. Room on the Broom fantastic. You can even find online activities for free to do with that. Just go Julia Donaldson. Julia Donaldson has tons of free worksheets. She has music that accompanies. She has a YouTube channel. She has a Room on the Broom sing-along. So there's so many different things. She's a famous author of the Gruffalo Halloweener. Now, of course, I love this book because I love dogs. So it's about a little wiener dog, and he dresses up as a hot dog, and his how they pick on him. So it's a good story, and the kids like it. Yes, Sharon, that is the author, the Gruffalo. Jerry Seinfeld, who's a very famous comedian, actually came up with his own children's Halloween story. Halloween is quite funny. Here's some other ones people have recommended. The famous Where the Wild Things Are, Haunted House. So all of this is on that link that I showed you. You can have them create stories online. There are actually quite a few characters that are geared for Halloween on storybird.com. It's a free way to make a book, so they can make it on any topic, not only Halloween, but these are the different characters they have that are spooky that really go well to make a book online. And they don't have to show their faces or anything. And then they can publish this on a blog or somewhere. They can send it to their families, to their parents, and it's really beautiful. Artists create these designs already. The students go on there for free. They get to create the words and make an online book that flips open. It's so beautiful. So they can create their own Halloween stories on a site like that. There's also zooburst.com. There's also littlebirdtells.com, where they can create books, mix books. So many sites out there that are free. They can create an online Halloween story or spooky story. I usually say a spooky story or a haunted story, a ghost story, a monster story, any of those. So this is a great time to also do pair activities. So you get them together. You get like a large sheet of paper, usually like a butcher paper, but something that's pretty blank or something. You get a paper, and then you have one student goes and they're drawing, and then student B has to describe, either for Halloween or October, you can do a few ideas. They can describe a costume that they want to wear for Halloween, but they cannot tell them what the costume is. So for example, they might say a vampire, and student A is drawing while they describe it. So you may have played this before. So for example, they might say, I have pointed teeth, I'll wear a cape, and then they draw this, and then they show it to their friend at the end, and they say, you're a vampire, and they love it. They can draw different monsters. They make up monsters. I've done this several times. The British Council has a wonderful lesson plan on making monsters, on actually doing a story with it, and a website where you can hear the monsters sing karaoke. It's really quite funny, and they do dances. Pumpkin carving. So before you actually carve a pumpkin, and in Germany we carved something else. I forgot what we carved. It looked more like an eggplant we carved, but it was cool. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a pumpkin. But the students, they would do this game where they pair up, and then student B describes what the pumpkin carving would look like. Oh, well, so you give them an actual pumpkin or squash or whatever it is that you're carving, and then they make the face described. Oh, it has big, wide mouth with huge teeth, and it really helps their language skills a lot. And you can have some of the kids who design their pumpkins, they can show each other, like a partner, how to carve the pumpkin. So they can give them instructions on how to carve the pumpkin. Or you can give instructions yourself in front of the class how to carve the pumpkin. You have to be careful, because pumpkin carving works better with adults. Maybe you can do this with adults, or maybe with teenagers. You have to be careful. It's probably better if they work on pairs. But Halloween's a great time for spooky tales. So there's lots of spooky ways you can use stories within Halloween time or October time. So one of the ways is that moonlitroad.com, it has audio clips, it has images, all that go with these stories. They're adult-related stories. So these are stories for adults with medium English level to advanced. So they're not going to be beginners necessarily. But you can go through the stories, and then you can really help you can share audio samples and they get a multimedia experience. I have an idea. I'm going to share with you a project idea. So with this particular idea, your teenagers will love it, and so will your adult students. They get to actually retell a ghost story, a real haunted story. So what they do is they can go to shadowlands.net, and when they go to shadowlands.net, they research a haunted place, and it could be a place within the town. So from Spain, there's many haunted places. There's many haunted places in San Antonio, where I'm currently located with Roscoe. And so they can do it from their town or somewhere else, maybe somewhere they would like to visit, especially adults. They always want to visit different places. So in Germany, we'd say like maybe France or maybe Luxembourg or some other places. And so what they do is they research one particular haunted place. They can go through the whole database at shadowlands.net. And then they're listening to stories and recounts. So they might read things. They're gathering research for this. And then what they do is they're making a multimedia presentation where they reveal the story to you. And they can actually they can write the story out and share it with the class. So Capsules is a great website to make a multimedia presentation. They can do PDFs, they can do videos, they can attach maps because you want to show the location of where the haunting is. You want pictures of it. You want, if they can get clips of people actually talking about it, which you can find out online, then they can add this as part of their haunted presentation. Tripline.net is really fantastic for this. So what they do is the students actually put in the locations. They can do several hauntings, or they can say the story. A lot of times these haunteds, they're related to history. And so tripline.net lets you narrate a map, tell about the location, go from point A to B to C. And so a lot of times they're related to famous people. It may tell the story of somebody's life, the ghost, that's a real person and lived. So on tripline.net, they might say where the ghost or the person who lived traveled, and present it that way. Scribblemaps.com. So you can go on any Google map and you can circle places that are haunted, and you can write down different words and stuff like that. This is with the idea that one day maybe they'll go actually visit. So it's a great incentive and motivation for them to write as well. And it's based on facts and history, and they get to learn about somebody's life, so it's really fantastic. Terrifying treats. So Halloween's a great time to eat and to cook and do some really great things with treats. So cooking is always great for language learning because it teaches instructional language, following directions and different types of language like that. So pick out recipes that you find very simple, and there's hundreds out there, and there's links for everything as well. I'll share with you some of the links that I found that I think are just absolutely fantastic. The great thing about Halloween is that the treats that you can do are quite simple. You can do it in a classroom and they don't require an oven. Of course, you can follow a recipe from an oven. So this is the link to the actual recipes I found. Taffy. I used to make taffy with my students in about 98 here, and it was more for science students. I was teaching hands-on science, but it's great because taffy has so many different scientific things, but you don't need an oven or anything really. You can have the kids like pull out the taffy, and it's candy, so it's a great, afterwards they can put in their trick-or-treat bag, so it's a great idea. They can decorate cookies or cupcakes, and you can have them follow directions. Once again, this is how you make a vampire bloody cupcake or something. You can be as creative as you want. Make Halloween inspired ice cream in a bag. Okay, so this is a whole story. I like to present stories to my students. So you can even do this with adult students. Teenagers love this, and children, of course, because they get to eat the ice cream afterwards. Make sure that none are lactose intolerant. If they are, then you may have to tweak the ingredients a bit for them. But what you do is you say, Ben and Jerry's is coming up with a new flavor for Halloween, and you get to invent it. So they make they make ice cream in a bag, which is a treat, ice cream in a bag. And the great thing about ice cream in a bag is you can do it in class. You don't actually it's kind of cold, so beware, your hands may be cold. But we did this actually at IOTEFL this year. In Glasgow, we did this for the young learners' sake. So if you were there, you would have made ice cream because we did. And that's how easy it is to do. They follow directions, and then they get to come up with the concept. They said they color it. They can put food coloring and stuff, and they can say, this is my concept for the new ice cream. I think Ben and Jerry's, they get to name it because Ben and Jerry's has so many fun flavors. And Ben and Jerry's actually does this. And then they get to say what the ingredients are in it. So they're using a lot of different language. And what inspired this creative ice cream that they made. And then they get to taste each other's ice cream. So it's a great way to do that. They can make magic bubbly drinks that actually fizzle and stuff like that. You can add Pop Rocks candy to drinks, apparently, and they crackle and pop. And then the kids or the teenagers or even the adults, you have them write down a magic spell. What is, they can drink it. They can actually drink this, but they're pretending and they're imagining it's a magic spell. And when you drink this potion, something will happen. So it's all imagination, but they write down the ingredients. Maybe it's like a frog's legs, and maybe it's a twist of, I don't know, of charm, and and they create their own types of magic spells with it. And then the other thing they can do is they can actually create the older students, the adults, and maybe the teenagers, they can create a trick-or-treat bag because that's very famous for kids. And they put in healthy snacks. Now, your adults will love this because they get to say, you get to have the debate of, if candy is really healthy for kids, what kind of snacks should be given for Halloween. They get to create the bag, but then they have healthy snacks that they add instead, and they can add their own recipes. Maybe they use peanut butter, apples, or celery, or something, and they say why the kids would enjoy that. So I have a bunch of activities, related to Halloween jokes as well. And this is all from this site. Well, you can actually get the actual Halloween jokes from this site. It's not actually that these jokes are, I don't know, have any activities that go with them. But the great thing about this actual site is that it actually gives you a bunch of printouts. So you can actually print out all of these jokes. You can print them in cards and characters. It's the activity.co.uk. But the great thing about this is that I've thought of some lesson ideas around these jokes. They're really good for language learners. And I think jokes, yes, they are cultural sensitive, but Halloween jokes are really just kind of, they're different, I think. I think they're really just kind of great ways to teach English. So I'll tell you one joke right now while we wait. Why did the skeleton not go to the party? Why did the skeleton, and you can answer in the chat box, why did the skeleton miss the party or miss the dance? Sometimes it's miss the dance. And you can find the jokes here, actually. Any idea? Something to do with bones, Sharon says. Because he had no body to go with. So it's a great way to get them thinking about language and how to play with language. So Halloween jokes can be quite cute, and they're really safe for kids. There's a lot of really decent ones. So this is Halloween jokes for kids, and here's a few ideas on how to use the language. So one of the ideas is in pairs, put them together in pairs, and I really like putting students in pairs. Have them select 2 jokes they memorize, because there's always the joke and then there's the punchline. So student A will memorize the joke, one joke, and then student B will memorize the punchline. And then student B memorized the other joke, and student A memorizes the punchline. And then they recite these in front of the whole class. So they like this. It's just memorizing jokes. And they get to pick from this list that I just showed you here. The next one is jigsaw. So the jigsaw activity, what you do is you actually print out some of those jokes that you think are really good, that are at the level for your language learners. And that's the important part, is that when you go to this Activity Village website to pick out the jokes you think are appropriate, and even your adults will enjoy this as well. So this is an activity for all ages pretty much. except for maybe not toddlers. Although I have taught 2 to 4-year-olds, but yeah, we don't do joke telling. Oh, a little bit older maybe, at 6 to 80. So you put these in strips. You put the joke on one strip, you put the punchline in another strip. You mix them up in a bag, and then the students pull out the strip of paper, and then they have to search for their partner. They have to search. They have to tell each other the jokes. They say, what is your joke? And then they find the punchline. And at the end, you gather them in a circle where they're with their pairs, where they think they found the joke that matched the punchline, and then they recite it out loud, and then people can hear them, and then they can say, yes, I think that joke goes together. So it's a really good way for them to investigate the language, and really think about the English. Mingle. Again, I love mingle games. I think they're fantastic. They get kids running around, or even adults, or even teenagers, and so they can get some of that energy off, and they love mingle. They just really respond to that. And if they're bored and they're acting up, mingle is a great way to snap them into action, wake them up. So they get in 2 lines. This time with the mingle, they get in 2 lines facing each other. So you have students A here, a line of students B here, and they face each other. They're face to face. And what they do is, on one line, it moves constantly, but the other line stays stagnant. They don't move. They just stay still. And so you give them 30 seconds, you blow the whistle, and you give them, they memorize a joke, okay? And so they basically go down the line and they tell a joke to each student, to a different student, and so forth and so forth. So this is joke mingo, basically. They can actually pick some of these jokes and they can do dialogues online. So GoAnimate.com, they can choose 2 characters. It's free. They can have their characters retell the joke, and they have to type it in, and they love that. So that way they can do that. There's other ones too. You could do comic sites, Make Believe Comics, Sock Puppets app is really good. You can do it online as well. You can do it in Puppet Pals, different types of places where you can get 2 characters to talk to each other. Devolver, Zimmer Twins, all of those are great sites to have them retype it and do online joke telling. Okay, so another one that your students are absolutely going to love, especially the high school students, is the Jib Jab. And this is why they're going to love it, because Jib Jab is a skeleton thing. And I actually wrote a whole entire, like a lesson plan you can print and you can adapt to your students. So what you do is, this is the actual lesson plan that I made up. You just copy it and then you can go. So you go to jibjab.com, you upload anybody's pictures, your pictures, you can get them in pairs or groups. And what they do is they show them dancing. It makes a free video of them dancing the skeleton dance. And so I came up with a few lessons for that because they can share it on Facebook, which they love to do, teenagers. So it's a really great. This is what the lesson plan looks like. It's bit.ly skeleton dance, but I also put it in the chat box. And basically, they visit the website. They create a video with either the partners. They can have up to 5 people, so they can do small groups as well. You have a big class. In this worksheet, they write down, or they can do it online because it's a Google Doc, so you can just reprint a bunch of them. So if you have an iPad class, they can do this as well. They write down their group members' names, the link where their video comes out. If you have a Facebook group page for the class, they can share it on their Facebook page, or they can share it on their wiki, or they can share, all of these are embeddable, so they can actually share them with families and friends if you want to make it more private. So it's up to you. You have a lot of sharing options. And then what they have to do is they have to pretend that they're having, they're making a pretend conversation of how they all got together to make this video. They're going to pretend they made this video in real life, okay? And so they're going to make a conversation on how they came to be in this skeleton dance video, okay? So where are you having the conversation? This is the setting, of course. They have to answer, what were you doing before this conversation took place? So they might say, we were at a party, okay? They might say that, or we were in the cafeteria at lunch. We were having lunch. We were having lunch and we were talking about ideas of how we would celebrate Halloween, and we wanted to do something different. and then they write the dialogue. Student A, they'll type in their name instead, which is, I don't know, George. And George will say, hey guys, what are you doing for Halloween? And then Susanna, which is student B, will say, I have no idea. And then student A will say, let's do something different. Let's dance and make a music video of a skeleton. So this is the way that goes. Here are some other ideas with this activity as well. They can write a story stating how and where they took this video, which I gave you the lesson plan for. But they can do a story as well. They can just write a story about it. We were at a Halloween party, and we decided a bunch of us had 5 different skeleton costumes, and we made this video. You can divide them into small groups, and they create the play where dancing skeletons is just one scene for this play. Or they can create a small movie or sitcom where this was part of that. You can divide them into small groups to plan a Halloween party where this is one of the main things, is they have this dance off of skeletons or something. So, and then the thing you can do with this one is when they plan the Halloween party, like together in pairs, they can do this. They can say, we need this for a shopping list. We're going to have a moon bound. We're going to have a costume contest. We're going to have a skeleton dance party, something like that. And so afterwards, you can pick some of the ideas from each group or each pair and make it into your own actual Halloween party for the Language Institute, the school, the class, or a club. I've done this for clubs as well. We had an international club and did some of these ideas. Okay, so here finally we're going to wrap up. And these are some wicked sites and resources for celebrating that, where you can find other really great ideas and lesson plans as well. Of course, you can find all of this if you just go to the bit.ly address. So I'm going to go ahead and get you to that bit.ly address, or actually just the, in general, the different Halloween activities, because you'll find plenty of ideas there. So one of them is if you go to the digitalplay.info blog, they have a top 10 for Halloween right now. They just won the Elton. It's Graham Stanley and Kyle Meyer, and they have whole entire lessons revolved on games. So that's one of the great things about this blog, is it has lesson plans already for you. Now these are their top 10 Halloween games that they do for their learners. So I'm going to go ahead and share that link with you, and then you'll be able to use these games in class. They can share computers and play these games, or all kinds of activities, and it's specifically made for language learners. There's this one is really great for toddlers and young learners. It is basically a game where it's the ABC fall. They carve a pumpkin, so it's very easy for kids to do. I can share with you that site as well. Another site which is really fantastic is the Starfall site. Now the great thing about the Starfall is it actually works on the pronunciation. It says it takes out pum and it takes out and then it has them repeat pumpkin, and then it has a story. They pick pumpkins, and then at the end they go and they see the pumpkins sing together and have a fun little song that they can learn and sing, and they learn about that pronunciation. So it's a great site for that as well. It's very good for very young learners. And then finally, there's this trick-or-treat game. Now this could be used in any kind of subject at all. What they do is the trick is basically they'll have a question or something they have to answer, or something they can do. Like, for example, you can say, can you touch your nose? You can make it fun. You can say, touch your nose. Or you can say something like, rub your stomach. And so you can make the tricks any kind. It's already built in for you, so you can use theirs as well. And then they get a treat. A treat would be something like move 3 spaces, move 4 spaces. You can review some vocabulary. You can review things you're doing. It's a bunch of cool apps as well. I actually wrote a blog post on this, which is various different types of apps that you can use that are really fantastic for language learners, math, all kinds of things. I'll show you one. One is Halloween ebook app. Now they made this for dyslexic. This mother made it for her dyslexic daughter. But the great thing about this app is it's friendly But not only is it friendly, but this particular app, if you go to that link, you'll find it. The kids can upload pictures and it becomes part of the story. So I really love things like that where it personalizes the story for them. So once again, you can find all of the things over here in this bit.ly address, and I'll get that for you. And there's hundreds, literally hundreds of ideas to keep you busy. And hopefully you found an idea today and that you can use for Monday. So I'm looking forward to you telling me good feedback of how you enjoy these ideas. You can please let me know. I'm on Twitter at Shell Terrell, or you can always email me at shellyterrell at gmail.com. And before we go, I'll show you my little one as well. My little Halloween buddy here. Come here, buddy. That's us together. Little Halloween pug here. Dressed up in his favorite Jimmy Johnson jersey. You like Jimmy Johnson. You like race cars, don't you, buddy? Yeah, you do. Okay, there's also this app called Mouth Off. It has Halloween things, so I'm going to do the scary pumpkin one. So hopefully you can see that. Have a happy Halloween, and I hope you enjoy these wonderful ideas with your students. Thank you, Daniel. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Have a happy fall and Halloween. Um,